Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another Christmas review. So this time we're moving away from the rebirth stuff and onto survival, because here we have our very first Jurassic World survival figure to be reviewed on this channel. And I'm really excited for this because, well, it's a brand new toy lines, because I feel like rebirth came and went. But it's really cool how we have a new lineup coming up, Jurassic World Survival, and it looks like we're gonna have a lot of cool things in store for next year. But here we are, our first survival figure, and that is the gigantic Thrashers Gorgosaurus. So I love Gorgosaurus. It's not only one of my favorite dinosaurs, but it's definitely one of my favorite tyrannosaurs, along with things like T-Rex and Moros Intrepidus and Nanotyrannus, which I'm really happy I can say that now because Nanotyrannus is officially its own genus now. But moving on from that, here we have the Gorgosaurus, and I'm really excited that Mattel has finally given us a Gorgosaurus. I think that's the main thing I'm really excited for. Now, the design is very interesting. So a lot to talk about here, but overall a really awesome figure. So let's go ahead and take a look at this brand new packaging for this new toy line. Here we got the rebirth colored logo of the T-Rex right here. It says Jurassic World Survival. Almost looks like a caution sign a little bit. Gigantic Thrashers Gorgosaurus, Mattel logo. And here on the side, you got an awesome render of Ember, the T-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth. I know Ember isn't really its official name, but that's what a lot of the fans have been calling this Rex. And the render just looks awesome. Really great detail on this Rex. And then here on the other side, you got a nice little background of some jungle. Kind of hard to see with the figure in it, but you got just some nice images of some various vegetation and some vines. So probably kind of looking more like the island from Jurassic World Rebirth. Then here you got some other little notes of just telling you what the action features are. So the tail can spin, which is very interesting for this dinosaur. And then you got a button on the side that controls the mouth. Some nice little caution tape prints up there. But looking really nice. I really do dig the the survival packaging. And here on the back, it shows you just another render of the figure. Armor plates grow, so at least they just move around, which is, again, very interesting. So I think Mattel is kind of playing along the idea of mutations on dinosaurs thanks to rebirth, so that's very interesting too. Gigantic Thrashers Gorgosaurus, total tail spinning action. Now that is probably the weirdest feature on any dinosaur toy we've gotten from Mattel, so that's definitely gonna be very interesting to look at. You got some facts up information, and you got the Stegosaurus, which I don't know if I'm gonna get that one yet or not. I'm mostly just focusing on the ones I want the most before I move on to other versions of different species. But right now, I'm going to enjoy this Gorgosaurus. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this one right now. Alrighty, so here we have the Gorgosaurus out of the packaging. And overall, I really do like this figure a lot. I like it because it's a Gorgosaurus. It's a new species from Mattel, and it's finally a Gorgosaurus that I can add into the Mattel collection. But everything else, I mean, it's pretty cool for what it is. It's definitely a very interesting dinosaur in terms of design and action features. But I guess that a lot of that is put to the side, mostly because it's a Gorgosaurus. You know, it pretty much captures the look of what you get with a Gorgosaurus. It's got the longer legs for moving around more than T-Rex did. And it's got the signature crest above the eyes, so kind of similar to Albertosaurus. But it's got the overall aesthetic of Gorgosaurus. The only difference is just the certain creative ability or creative touches on this one in terms of its design, because it's not exactly accurate to a real-life Gorgosaurus, but it does look really cool though. It looks really gnarly, and I dig it, despite it being kind of weird at the same time. But the main difference, like the main takeaway here is just the I guess the main thing I noticed more is just the I don't want to say overuse, but the overwhelming use of armor and osteoderms on this Gorgosaur. Because it's definitely really out there, really dramatic looking, but it's also really cool. I guess you could say this matches for a more mutated look of a Gorgosaurus, but I'm pretty sure if it was mutated, it wouldn't really have all these spikes. It would just, I don't know. That's just kind of my own opinion, but the use of osteoderms and armor is definitely a very interesting touch. It's very similar to the Albertosaurus, which we'll compare later, but this one's definitely taken it to the next level, I will say that. As you can see here on the head sculpt, it's pretty much got your standard Gorgosaurus-like head sculpt. It's got the famous tyrannosaur shape to it. You can see the little horns or the crest above the eyes. Really great detail around the face. Got these really large, thick scales, almost like probably armor around its face, and some nice little fine scales around the eyes. And here on the lower jaw, you got this little bump or osteoderm sticking out from the side, and some larger other smaller ones kind of surrounding it and kind of outlining the lower jaw. And what's also really cool is that this tyrannosaur has lips, so it's covering its teeth. So that is really cool, kind of like a little accurate thing that Mattel did with this Gorgosaurus. Looking inside, the teeth look really nice. It's made out of that rubber material, so they're not painted, but they are molded in like this off-white color. And the tongue right here, nicely sculpted with this nice pink fleshy color. Got the little gum flaps right there. So I really do like how the teeth are hidden between the lips of the dinosaur. And the scales on the face look really nice as well. And the same with the crest. I like the crest. And here throughout the entire back is just like this row of armor and osteoderms going all the way down to the tip of the tail, essentially, where it gets much more gnarly on the tail. But yeah, just really great detail overall. A very unique look for a Gorgosaurus, I would say, all over, because it's just covered in armor. So this guy is not going to have any problem fighting all the dinosaurs, considering all the armor it has. So it's very similar to that of a crocodilian, but also maybe an ankylosaur at the same time. Here at the neck, or on the underside, you do have really nice fine scales sculpted in all over through the underside of the jaw and the neck. Got some nice skin wrinkles right there. And here on the rest of the underside. So very nice work on the scales from Mattel. Very similar to that of a crocodile, except they're a lot more smaller, but really nice detail on the underside. And that pretty much continues all the way down until it eventually fades into armor. But still very nice wrinkles in the skin on the backside right here. The arms are really nice as well, nice and small, but nicely detailed with the sculpt, with the scales. And they're in the correct position. They're facing inwards. That's really cool. And you got the same classic 2 digits for this Tyrannosaur. Some more creases around there. And then here on the leg, really nice, muscular, long legs. You can see the little kind of muscles poking through the skin and some really nice detail in the skin as well. So it's almost like not really scales, but almost like rough scale texture that almost looks like scales at the same time. You can see the knee right there. Nice work on the calf right here. And some more nice lined texture here, starting from the ankle all the way down to the foot, which you do have some more line work here on the underside, which you can see the scan code. Nice work on the toe claws and the ridges on the toes. Just some nice detail, and you can see the dew claw back there, unfortunately not painted. Same with the hand claws, unfortunately they're not painted, but the toe claws, the main 3 right here, are painted in like this black, almost like a dark brown color, at least from my eyes in person. The other side as well looks really great with the detail, skin wrinkles and all that. And I like the different sculpts in the armor. So you got some larger ones up here in like one single segment, and it kind of breaks off into these tinier segments and kind of shrinks down to like these smaller portions of the armor and the osteoderms that just kind of line the body. Same here on the back side. And here the entire tail is just covered in just armor. This whole tail is just armored. So it kind of reminds me of a glyptodon, those giant prehistoric armadillos a little bit, because it's just all armor. So getting hit by this thing, you're done for. Yeah, you're not walking away from that at all if you're getting hit by this tail, which the sculpt work, the detail, those look really great, despite this dinosaur looking really weird with a giant armored tail, which the spikes look really great and sculpted as well. So overall, it looks really good. If I were to fix this, I would probably say I wish these spikes on the tail were a bit more smaller, kind of like the size of these, so it's not so dramatic looking. That's just my only thing, but probably my real complaint is just how wide the face looks. It's definitely not screaming Tyrannosaur when it's like super wide, especially when you look at the underside of the jaw. But that's just probably like my own major complaint. Everything else, while it is kind of weird, it does make it for a really cool, unique looking dinosaur figure in my collection, especially for a Jurassic Park collection, I would say. The colors are really nice too. I don't know why, I always like blue on Gorgosauruses, mainly because of Walking with Dinosaurs, but this brown tone, this warm, almost desert looking color palette here works really well for this dinosaur. Got a nice dark brown for the entire top half of the head, and that kind of molds down all the way down to this part of the armor. You got a nice bright yellow eye with a black pupil. Then you got just a white color for the lower jaw. That's it. It doesn't even continue down here, so would have been nice to kind of see that. And you got just a black, same color as the feet or the toe claws for some of these osteoderms, just on this part of the back. So nowhere else on the head or on the other part of the tail. So it would have been nice to kind of see a bit more continuation of certain colors, but that's just Mattel, you know. And here on the tail, or actually majority of the body here is in like this orangish light brown tan tone, which looks really good, and it matches the color palette. It's just kind of like the desert arid looking color palette for this dinosaur, so they all kind of complement each other. I guess they just could have been applied in maybe a different way. That's just my opinion. But nice light brown color for the majority of the body, and then it kind of fades into, or kind of speckles into, this brown color, which is different than what you got on the head. So it's a different shade of brown, but that pretty much covers the entire foot and kind of sprinkles up just before it hits the knee. So you got some nice color variation there. And then this light brown color kind of fades into the underside right here before it fades into the entire tail being this orange color with some brown spikes here on the side, which is the same color on the feet, I believe. So again, would have been nice to see these spikes all painted in this brown color, but it's kind of weird to see different osteoderms having different colors, because I'm pretty sure they would have all been consistent in real life. Color wise, really nice colors, nice sculpt work. It's such a weird looking dinosaur at the same time. I love it because it's just so weird. And I know this is definitely not the most accurate Gorgosaurus out there. If you want accuracy, do not buy this figure, but I buy it because it's Jurassic, and I don't have this species from Mattel, so that's mostly the reason why I got it. For articulation, you don't really have a whole lot. You got the arms right here that can just move forward and backwards. That's pretty much it. They can't pivot in and out or anything. And then the legs here, they can't pivot in and out, but they can move forward and backwards. Nice little click ratchet movements. And then the ankles, they do swivel, but I try not to play with those all that much. Same with this leg as well. And the tail can spin, but that's part of the action feature, which is super weird. So moving on to action features, you got a button right here, which if you just press it, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, apparently this Gorgosaurus is mutated enough where its whole tail can just spin, literally swinging its death tail full of spikes here to literally annihilate everything in its path, which is super weird. It's a fun action feature, but in real life, this would never work, because with your skeleton, it's not going to allow you to spin like that. So this is obviously for toy purposes, for playability, but I mean, what's wrong with just having no articulation here, just having a joint where the tail could just swing side to side? This will do just as much damage as hitting someone rather than spinning to cut them up. So as you can see with Dr. Loomis here, which first of all, you can see a nice little comparison, which is, I think, is a pretty good size of Gorgosaurus. It was not as big as T-Rex, but it was definitely a lot more smaller. So nice scale going on there. But you can definitely see how this would just kill you in an instant. You can just do it like that. But again, what's wrong with just, hitting someone? And then you got the other action feature, which is just a button right here, which if you do press it, you got two different things going on. You got the jaw movement, which is pretty typical from Mattel. Surprisingly, the jaw doesn't open all that wide, but... And then you got this really weird, interesting part where the armor it says that it grows on the package, but it doesn't really grow. It more like it expands, like it's part of the skin, or it just moves with the skin, so it's very flexible in a way. It's kind of like the scales of that of a snake. They're not stiff, they're flexible because they move with the movement of the snake. That's what I'm getting, that's the vibe I'm getting out with this, which they just move up. Very interesting, very, very, very interesting. So I could definitely see a lot of people not liking this one at all, thinking, you know, we finally got a Gorgosaurus, but it's all weird and stuff. I get it. But for me, I think it's a really cool looking dinosaur. I mostly got it because I don't have this one. And yes, it is very weird, not accurate at all, but it's still a very cool looking dinosaur in my opinion. So for some quick comparisons, it is a Gorgosaurus, so I will compare it with the Tyrannosaurus from Mattel that was released last year. So this one is just to kind of get a reminiscent of Walking with Dinosaurs, the movie. You got the Tyrannosaurus and the Gorgosaurus, and these two actually size up very good next to each other. So these ones will look really great in a fight or in a picture, which I plan to do someday. So that itself is really cool. And then lastly, we will compare the Gorgosaurus with the Albertosaurus, since these two are very similar, because they're both tyrannosaurs that have these little crest areas above the eyes. And kind of funny how these two are both armored tyrannosaurs. This one has a bit more believable look of armor on a dinosaur. This one is just like over the top crazy. But I think Mattel did the crest a lot better on the Gorgosaurus than they did on the Albertosaurus. This one just looks like an Allosaurus at this point, because it's in front of the eyes rather than above the eyes, I would say. So, and the sizes are a bit different. Albertosaurus was definitely, I think, a lot bigger than Gorgosaurus, though slightly smaller than T-Rex. So Albertosaurus should have been a bit more bigger, but still, it's really cool to kind of see these two different tyrannosaurs together. So yeah, I really do like that a lot. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, from my own personal opinion, I recommend picking up this Gorgosaurus only because it's a species we don't have from Mattel. And if you want to collect all the species, you're going to have to collect it anyway. But, I mean, that's just me. I guess I don't necessarily fully recommend it. If you want to skip out on this guy, then go ahead and skip out on him. If you don't like it at all, then that's your opinion. But I guess everyone kind of has like their own opinions on figures that look like this. So I personally like it. That's just me though. So I hope you guys like this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.